Solidarity is not just a word. It's a lifestyle. It's a responsibility that every worker must have. It's not Teamsters versus everybody. It's Teamsters with everybody against the employer ruling Epstein class. That's what this is about. We need to rejoin the AFL-CIO, get back with our other brothers and sisters within the labor movement, and fight with this weaponized solidarity against anybody who does not want workers to win. Not Teamsters versus everybody, but Teamsters with the working class against the ruling class. That's what this is about. And we must fight fearlessly to get to that point. Join us as we take back our union, give it back to the members, because anywhere there's people, there's power. And there's power in solidarity.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a Counterpunch article that makes a pretty explosive accusation that one of America's most powerful union leaders is a menace. We're going to break down the evidence behind that claim.
Yeah, the article really doesn't pull any punches, does it? It kicks off with this incredibly strong statement, setting a really confrontational tone from the jump. So who are we talking about here? And what's the argument behind a claim like that?
Well, the man in the spotlight is Sean O'Brien, and he's the head of the Teamsters. Yep, one of the biggest and most powerful labor unions in North America. This explainer is going to walk you through the arguments that the author Joe Allen makes in this piece, which is a pretty sharp critique of where the union is headed under O'Brien's leadership. Okay, so why that word menace? I mean, it's a loaded term, and the author tries to build a case to justify using it. So let's take a look at the evidence that's presented in the article. The central claim, really the whole foundation of the author's argument, revolves around Sean O'Brien's alleged political alignments, basically the company he keeps. The article claims O'Brien hasn't just met with these figures, but has actively aligned the union with some key players on the far right. This, according to the author, has earned him a reputation as one of the most pro-Trump union leaders in the country. And, the article argues this goes way beyond just photo ops. It alleges that O'Brien's support has actually extended to endorsing political appointees whose actions, in the author's view, have directly undermined the very agencies set up to protect worker rights and safety. This quote right here, it's from an open letter cited in the source, and it really highlights the internal conflict the author is trying to point out. It captures the tension that some union members are feeling, seeing these alliances as a total contradiction of the union's democratic principles. And all of this brings us to what the author describes as a really fundamental and frankly troubling shift in the union's entire philosophy. So check out this contrast. The author frames the traditional labor movement as being built on this core idea of solidarity, an injury to one is an injury to all. Then he puts that right up against the union's current branding under O'Brien, Teamsters versus everybody, which the article just straight up calls reactionary and isolationist. According to the article, this isn't just some catchy slogan. The author claims this philosophy has led to tangible policy support, like for Trump's trade wars, which he argues has hurt workers both inside and outside the Teamsters, and has even strained relationships with their Canadian counterparts. And to make his point even more concrete, the author zeroes in on a very current, very charged international issue to show what he sees as the real-world cost of abandoning solidarity. The article points directly to the conflict in Gaza. It claims that while Palestinian trade unions made direct appeals to their American counterparts for action to stop weapons shipments, the Teamsters leadership just remained silent. And the author connects the dots very specifically here. He notes the Teamsters members are the ones working at Sikorsky building these heavy-lift helicopters. The article then states these aircraft are essential to Israeli military operations, which frames the union's silence as a pretty significant choice. To add another layer to this, the article includes this quote from someone who attended a recent Teamsters Women conference. The author highlights the decision to feature a speaker described as a vocal supporter of Israeli military action as more evidence of the leadership's stance, and he points to the offense it caused some members. So, where does all this lead? After letting out the evidence of these political alliances and this shift away from solidarity, the author brings his argument to a very sharp conclusion. And there it is, the author's final unambiguous thesis. He argues that Sean O'Brien's leadership isn't just a matter of political disagreement, but represents a genuine threat, one that he says is helping normalize far-right politics within the American labor movement.
And based on that pretty stark conclusion, the article doesn't just end there. It becomes a call to action, urging readers who agree with its premise to actively protest an upcoming appearance by O'Brien in Chicago. And that really brings us to the central question this whole article leaves us with. As political identities become more and more entrenched and divisive, what does solidarity, the historical bedrock of the labor movement, truly mean? And what's its future even going to look like?
Yeah, from the bottom up, we ain't never gonna stop, no. Yeah, fearless we are, fearless we are, fearless cause they're not. Yeah, fearless from the bottom up, fearless we won't stop, fearless we got your back, fearless with your contract, fearless we hold the line.